Welcome back. We start a news bulletin from the U.S. where the Senate has acquitted President Donald Trump of both impeachment charges. One Republican senator, Mitt Romney, broke ranks by voting to impeach Trump on the charge of abuse of power. This report has details.
The Republican-dominated Senate was always seen as the most likely last stop of the Democratic-led impeachment process against U.S. President Donald Trump. But Republican Senator Mitt Romney's dissenting vote and emotional speech took center stage, knocking the air out of Trump's victory lap. Romney declared Trump guilty of abusing the public's trust.
The allegations made in the articles of impeachment are very serious. As a senator juror, I swore an oath before God to exercise impartial justice. I am profoundly religious. My faith is at the heart of who I am. I take an oath before God as enormously consequential. I knew from the outset that being tasked with judging the president, the leader of my own party, would be the most difficult decision I have ever faced. I was not wrong.
Senate's Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said it was a sad day for the American nation.
This is clearly not a happy day for the nation or the Senate. The Senate turned its back on the truth, on a fair trial, on doing what the Founding Fathers would have wanted us to do. But Democrats walked out of the Senate chamber with their heads held high because we sought the truth.
U.S. President Donald Trump called the impeachment a hoax and said he has been vindicated. He says he will focus now on his re-election campaign for a second term in the White House. The U.S. House of Representatives has promised to widen the net in its inquiry into Trump's alleged misdemeanors.
Moving on, President Nicolas Maduro says President Donald Trump's policies are taking the U.S. towards a high-level conflict with Venezuela. In a televised address, Maduro also branded opposition leader Juan Guaido a U.S. stooge who met Trump earlier in the day. Maduro said Venezuela's electorate will reject Guaido in the elections and it will be a failure of the U.S. president. U.S. officials said any harm to Juan Guaido on his return to Venezuela will have very significant consequences. Maduro said his offer of talks to Trump is not a sign of weakness.
I extended my hand to Trump several times, and he thinks that wanting to have a dialogue is a sign of weakness? No. I say to the people of the United States that Donald Trump is taking the United States towards a high-level conflict with Venezuela.
Contra Venezuela. The daily deaths by the new coronavirus in China have yet again broken a record as the disease killed 73 people in the past 24 hours. Beijing's health ministry says the death toll from the incurable virus crossed 550 with more than 28,000 infected. More in this report.
Amid rising cases of the new coronavirus in China, many countries have imposed ban on entry of Chinese nationals. Taiwan has banned all cruise ships from docking at its ports. This comes after 20 people tested positive on a cruise liner at a Japanese port with 3,700 passengers. Health officials are racing to develop treatments and testing methods. Researchers say that making a vaccine could take years, and a premature product can make the virus stronger as it is constantly mutating.
And so you can have a second wave, much larger, much broader epidemic. So we want to be ready, and maybe that virus changes a little bit. So it'd be important for the vaccine to A, be available for that if it's an issue, and then secondly, for it to be able to cover some of the mutations that might occur as the virus transmits.
Doctors say the deaths due to the disease will drop only after the virus is thoroughly understood.
At this time, what it causes is a respiratory illness, and the overall mortality is quite low. It's less than 5% and more in the range of 2 to 4%. And it is quite possible that the final analysis of this will bring the mortality figure to even lower numbers.
China has already taken unprecedented measures to curb the spread of the virus, including travel restrictions for most of Hubei province. The health ministry claims over 1,000 people are already on the road to recovery.
Moving on to the Indian-occupied Kashmir, where Indian forces have martyred 65 Kashmiris since the illegal annexation of the occupied valley on 5th August last year. 21 were martyred in the last 30 days as the curfew and communications blackout enters its 186th day. Over 900 people have been injured by occupation forces, mainly during protests against India. A top Indian newspaper criticized the government, saying the communication blackout is in place even after 6 months. In its editorial, Indian Express said other parts of India seem happy with the revocation of the valley's special status, but Kashmiris are not. It said the absence of free communications and politicians' arrests mean Kashmiri's opinion has not been allowed to surface. Moreover, Indian Muslim leader Assaduddin Owaisi has warned that the BJP government may turn Shaheen Bagh into Jallianwala Bagh to remove protesters. In 1919, British Army massacred nearly 1,000 protesters at Jallianwala Bagh in the northwestern city of Amritsar. The all-women sit-in in New Delhi's Shaheen Bagh against the controversial citizenship law has now entered its 51st day. Talking to media, Owaisi said Bharatiya Janata Party government may shoot the demonstrators. Meanwhile, Islak, a small village in Maharashtra state, has become the first panchayat to pass a resolution against the law. The village council said the step has been taken as most villagers have no documents to prove their citizenship. Demonstrations and sit-ins continue in Mumbai, Kolkata, and other cities of the country. The UN's nuclear watchdog says Iran has not taken further steps to violate 2015 nuclear deal since it renounced restraints last month. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, says Tehran is enriching uranium. Speaking in Washington, Grossi said he is monitoring the situation and prepared for every possible circumstance. In July, Iran began stockpiling more low-enriched uranium than allowed by the Nuclear Pact, the first of 5 breaches. Iran says it will reverse the violations if the US removes sanctions and European states fulfill their commitments. Now going to Middle East, Syrian air defenses have intercepted hostile Israeli missiles over the capital Damascus. Syrian state media said the attack was launched over the Golan Heights and used Lebanese airspace. It said air defenses destroyed most of the missiles before they reached their targets. There are no immediate reports of damage or casualties. Last month, the Syrian army said Israeli jets attacked its main T4 airbase in Homs province, but its air defense neutralized the missiles. Russia has blocked a UN draft resolution on Libya because of the use of the word mercenary in the text. The resolution voices concern at the growing involvement of mercenaries in Libya. Russia's UN ambassador Vasilina Benzia said Moscow wants the word mercenaries changed to foreign terrorist fighters. The diplomat said there are a few sections in the resolution that are of concern. Talking to media, Nebenzia said Moscow has decided to continue discussions with other members. The step has cast doubt on the UN Security Council's ability to vote on the resolution by the weekend. Russia had already stopped the approval process that would have allowed to vote today or tomorrow. Turkey has condemned the European Parliament for holding an event attended by leaders of the PKK. Turkey has called the PKK group a terrorist organization. In a statement, Turkish Foreign Minister said the unofficial EU event ignores the principle of fighting terrorist organizations without discrimination. The statement said PKK leaders who attended the event were also on the European Union's list of terrorist organizations. The ministry said hosting such an event is equivalent to supporting terrorism. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will visit Pakistan on February 13th. Foreign Office spokesperson Aisha Faruqi says taking the Indian-occupied Kashmir dispute to the International Court of Justice will be discussed during the visit. Erdogan will also address a joint session of Pakistan's parliament on February 14th. In a media brief, Faruqi said both sides will also mull on agreement on dual nationality. She said Organization of Islamic Cooperation is committed to Kashmir cause and has passed several resolutions. Faruqi said for the decades, OIC contact group on Kashmir has played a dynamic role to highlight the issue. The spokesperson said Kashmir Solidarity Day was observed all over the world yesterday. Meanwhile, in Turkey, 3 people are dead and 179 injured after a commercial airliner skid off the runway at Istanbul Sabiha Gökçen Airport. The Pegasus Airlines plane crashed into a field and broke into 3 pieces. Health Minister Fahrettin Koca said the injured have been taken to multiple hospitals. Turkey's Transportation Ministry says a rough landing because of strong winds and heavy rain caused the incident. Istanbul Governor Ali El-Kia said it could have been worse.
Unfortunately, Pegasus Airlines plane couldn't hold on the runway due to poor weather conditions and skidded for around 50 to 60 meters. It fell from this area from 30 to 40 meters in height. 175 passengers, 2 babies, 4 flight attendants, and 2 pilots were on board.
A report by Human Rights Watch says 138 people deported from El Salvador from the US have been subsequently killed. The report says the majority of deaths occurred less than a year after the deportations and some within days. The organization says at least 70 deportees faced sexual assault and violence after arriving back in the country. The report comes as President Donald Trump is making it harder for Central Americans to find refuge in the US. HRW says the actual toll will be higher, with assaults rarely reported because of the stigma of deportation. Between 2014 and 2018, the US deported over 100,000 Salvadorans fleeing gang violence. Meanwhile, only 18% of Salvadoran asylum requests are accepted, with a nearly 1,000% increase in requests between 2012 and 2017. The American legend of the silver screen, Kirk Douglas, has died at the age of 103. He was nominated for 3 Oscars and starred in classic films such as Spartacus and Paths of Glory. His death was announced by his son and fellow actor Michael Douglas. More about the veteran actor in this report.
Kirk Douglas became a fixture in Hollywood movies over a career that spanned 6 decades. He was well known for his rugged looks and masculine roles in war movies, westerns, and Roman-era spectacles, particularly Spartacus. Born in New York, the actor rose to prominence during Hollywood's golden age of the 40s and 50s. He took his first Oscar nomination in the 1949 boxing movie Champion.
It's a very good night for me, and I'm happy that Michael could come. Und dieses Mal habe ich Berliner Weiße getrunken.
As the news of Douglas's death broke, the film industry showed its grief on social media. His fans paid tribute by decorating his Hollywood Walk of Fame star with flowers.
He was one of the last Hollywood legends of the golden era. I mean, that's it. I mean, he's the last legend. That's it. Not a superstar, a legend. Kirk Douglas was a legend.
Back in the 1980s, Douglas visited Pakistan to meet his fans here.
China says it will have its punitive tariffs on US goods worth $75 billion from February 14th. This comes a month after Beijing and Washington signed a Phase 1 deal to partially end their long-running trade war. The State Council's Custom Tariff Commission said the cut applies to levies of 5% and 10% imposed on more than 1,700 items. Products hit by 10% tariffs included fresh seafood, poultry, and soybeans. In a statement, the Commission said the reduction will kick in on the day Washington is expected to have its tariffs on $120 billion of Chinese products. Over the weekend, Beijing announced U.S. imports used to fight the coronavirus will be also exempted from retaliatory tariffs. Stock markets across Europe are trading higher as fears over the new coronavirus outbreak begin to fade. Investors' upbeat sentiments are dominated majorly by stocks' earnings. CAC 40 in Paris trading 0.75% higher after Societe Generale stocks rose nearly 1.5%. Frankfurt DAX has gained over 0.5%. London's FTSE 100 has gained a fraction, powering early gains as Royal Mail shares fell over 9%. In Asia, Seoul's Kospi led the gains, closing nearly 3% higher. Shanghai Composite has gained nearly 2%, following positive sentiments as central bank eases monetary policy. Meanwhile, international crude oil prices have gained over 1% as global economy sheds fears over falling demand. Now let's look at the weather from around the globe. This is all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.